Wow. There we go. So tailoring the approach, tailoring the demo, and how to develop needs with different kinds of people. So this is a part today, guys, you want to make sure you take a lot of notes on, because there's going to be a point in time when you guys are teaching parts. You know, you'll be doing the same thing that me and Van are. So that's why it's so important that when you're young in your career, you take really good notes, because there's going to be a time that you have to speak on something like this, you know, get in front of another agency and give a 15-minute part. And you want to have really good notes on stuff like this. So the good thing about me is whenever I was younger, I took really good notes from people better than me, you know, whenever I was watching Van, Justin Ellingson. So I have all those notes saved even from 6-7 years ago. So if I ever have to teach a part of something, I can just regurgitate what they taught on, you know, 5-6 years ago. So it makes my job a lot easier, just teaching from the best of the best. So let's talk about tailoring the approach. Okay, so when we first walk into a business, okay, obviously there's different kinds of businesses. You want to make sure that when we're selling insurance, people feel like our products are custom fit for them, right? So you definitely want to tailor the very first part of your approach, okay? So if you're walking into a nail salon, be like, hey, yeah, we work with all the nail salons in Gastonia, North Carolina. We work with all the nail salons here in Charlotte. But, you know, after you break the ice, obviously break the ice, see how they're doing. Man, this weather's crazy cold outside. It's 44 degrees today. Holy smokes, fall came up quick. You know, break the ice a little bit. The easiest way to break the ice with somebody is talking about the weather. Obviously, if you look on the wall and you see that they, you know, are a Green Bay Packers fan, you know, but, oh, wait, Green Bay, are you from there? You know, whatever it is, right? Break the ice first and then introduce yourself. You know, my name's Kyle Schneider with Global Family Heritage. We work with all the nail salons talking about cancer and heart disease, right? So you just kind of tailor the approach to the kind of business that it is whenever you first introduce yourself. You know, my name is Kyle Schneider with Global Family Heritage. We work with all the Jiffy Lubes here in Columbia, South Carolina. Whatever the kind of business it is, that one little extra little tweak will make it sound like it's custom built for that kind of business, and that will get your foot in the door. And so instead of getting the, oh, you have to go to corporate objection, that will actually eliminate a lot of those corporate objections just by saying, yeah, we work with all the Jiffy Lubes here in Columbia, South Carolina. And guys, just because, you know, if you're brand new in the business, yeah, you personally may not have worked with the other Jiffy Lubes, but somebody else has. So your manager, your team leader probably has already worked with a lot of the other businesses in that same kind of business in that area in the past. So when you work with small businesses, it can be a more broad approach. You know, we work with all the small locally owned businesses here in Columbia, South Carolina. When you're working with medium and bigger businesses, if you want to get access to a big company, bigger businesses, you have to laser that approach for that kind of business. Yeah, we work with all the middle schools here in Cleveland County, North Carolina, right? So you got to make sure it is very specific to that kind of business that you're working with. And then also, when you get to the next part of the approach, when you're name dropping, drop names that make sense for that kind of business. So don't be like, yeah, we work with all the middle schools here in North Carolina. We were just with the Dollar General next door, right? That is a terrible, terrible way to drop names. You don't want to drop names of a different kind of business, especially if you're working with a very high-end company that you're approaching. You want to drop names of other types of businesses that are similar or competitors in the same kind of industry that that business is, okay? And if you're talking to a high-level business, let's say you're talking to a bank or a law firm or, you know, an accounting agency, whatever it is, where people make pretty good income, you want to make sure that you use businesses of other types of people that they make good income as well. So don't be like, yeah, we were just reservicing the Dollar General down the street if we're walking into a law firm, because they're going to feel like, oh, well, this may be a good fit for them, but it's probably not a good fit for us, right? So making sure that you just, you know, work, you know, play chess, not checkers, and you tailor the business to the kinds of people that they kind of work with already. Okay, and also if you're referral approaching, making sure that you use that exact name of the person and the business that referred you to them, okay, and that you do business with them. And if I got referred somewhere and that referral bought for me, I will have that picture on my iPad ready. So if they hesitate, I'd be like, yeah, you probably know, here's a picture of your Aunt Sue, right? This is us 2 days ago, right? So having that picture ready to show them of that referral will help break the ice as well. Okay, so those are some things in the approach. So let's kind of go through the meat and potatoes part of today is tailoring the demo when you actually get to sit down with somebody. So when you're developing the need for somebody, you got to make sure that you know why the prospect needs what you have. You need to tailor it to them. Okay. So understand why people say yes and what goes into them saying yes. So there's two things that somebody has to have for them to buy. Two things. Number one is they must understand that they have a need for our product. They have a need for our product. Somebody will not purchase something that they feel like they don't need, whether that need is perceived or real. They also must understand that this product or service fulfills their need, not the need of someone else or the general public, but their specific need. That's why our sales talk has great questions in it, and that's why we tailor and customize it so they feel like it is specifically built for them. Almost as if you're buying a suit if you go to like Tom James and buy a suit, they're going to customize a suit to your body type, right? So it's very custom fit for you. Our sales talk with the questions we have is custom built for Mr. and Mrs. Jones out in the field. Okay. And also just, having a good intro helps you develop more rapport. Having those questions that we have at the very beginning, asking those cancer questions, asking, who's the closest person to you? And if that's the only question you ask, and then you dive right into the stats page, that's not doing your job. You need to ask the question, who's the closest person to you? Is that cancer? Oh my gosh, show empathy. And then ask those follow-up questions, what kind of cancer? Because those are really going to build the need for you. And that way you can tailor the demo later on by using those examples of the cancer stories, the accident stories that they give you. And you have to keep those in your brain. So keep those in your brain storage, because you're going to use those as references later on when you're presenting the products. Like, hey, so remember when you told me about your aunt that had breast cancer a few years ago? Can you see how this would have helped out for her for that specific situation? So, and that shows that you're listening. So that's one of the hardest things, being in sales. The best salespeople are the best listeners, right? And the very bottom part here is taking photos and testimonials is another way you can really tailor the presentation for them. So making sure that you have your photos of your clients, on your Facebook fan page organized, by county or by area or by even kind of business that you work with. So that if you're walking into a hairstylist shop, you can have 4 other pictures that you or your manager has sold to other hairstylists in the area that you can name drop automatically if they give you an objection, right? Or if you're seeing whoever, a mechanic shop or whoever the kind of business is, a Big Lots, for example, just making sure that you can demo and tailor the needs for them specifically. So we're going to cover right now how to develop the need with young people, people who are, 18 to 25 years old, right? That feel invincible, that feel like they may not have a need for buying cancer insurance or accident insurance, right? So or heart insurance right now. So with young people, there's a few reasons why young people need to buy this. Okay. For one reason, young people, they're very active. They're very active with sports, 4-wheelers, jet skiing. They do a lot of traveling. So they have a higher chance of getting in an accident than other folks. And also young people, they're just getting started in life. So if something bad happens to them, they don't have much time to build a huge savings account. They don't really have much to lean on. Also, you can easily wrap in the ICU policy with any of the other policies, because young people, if they're thinking about having their family, having kids, and the ICU covers the NICU. So if kids are born and they're ever in the NICU, it covers that. And helping them understand that they still qualify while they're so young. They don't have any pre-existing conditions. So be like, hey, there's a lot of people we talk to who are older than you that can't buy this because they've already been diagnosed with cancer. They give some 3D testimonials. That's why so many people who are your age are getting this, and showing pictures of other young people who are also buying will help them out. And this is a big one. Young people, they don't want to be a burden on their parents if something happens. Okay? They don't want to be a burden on their parents. If they still live with their parents, the last thing a 23-year-old wants to do is have to rely on his mom and dad to pay for everything that they're going through. They want to be independent, right? And if a young person, if they have to ask their parents permission to buy from you, they probably shouldn't be a client of yours right now. It probably shouldn't be a client of yours right now if they have to ask permission from the parents. They're probably not in that, mature enough stage of their life to make their own financial decisions, which is okay. Get protected later on. But if they use that, then it's probably not going to happen. Also, here's a couple other things, is that right now, if they live with their parents, you have to understand that they don't have a lot of indirect costs right now. But you got to ask them, so do you plan on living with your parents forever? Or do you eventually plan on moving out and having your own house and potentially starting your own family, right? 99% of people are going to say, yeah, I definitely don't plan on living with my parents forever. It's a funny question to ask people, and then you ask them, right now, if you couldn't work, this is critical question number one, guys, critical question number one. You have to ask this every presentation for each kind of person. It can be tailored to the kind of person that you're asking it to. If you're going to work, James, if you're going to work for 6 months to a year, how will that affect you and your family financially? Who would be the one taking care of you if you got sick or hurt? Your parents? And do they work as well? Okay, so they'll be losing income and resources just taking care of you. So other than having to use your savings or having to borrow money from your parents, do you currently have a backup plan like this right now? So guys, that's critical question number two. Critical question number two, other than using your savings or having to borrow money from your parents, knocking that objection out, do you have a backup plan like this right now? Obviously, there's going to be some other content you're going to say in between critical question 1 and 2. You're going to go a little bit more in depth, but I'm just kind of hitting on the main points here. Okay. And stress that, show people, guys, we do B2B sales. So there's a lot of young people. If you walk into like a T-Mobile or, really any strip place, you're going to see a lot of people who are in their early 20s. We have a lot of young customers here. So making sure that you're just saying, yeah, everybody who's young is getting this. That's what I'm protecting. I'm protecting a lot of young people. So just showing other photos, people buy on the approval of others, that will eliminate that objection that they don't need it right now. And also, right before you're buying atmosphere, it's simple, it's affordable, easy decision. That page, stress that it's super affordable to get it at their age. That's the best time to buy it while they're so young. They get locked in, and it's an easy decision because the return on premium. Like, hey, it's the best time to buy it now that you're 22 because you're going to get all your money back down the road anyways. It's a great way to save some extra money for your future. And then also make sure you read a testimonial from another young client. So Sarah Blaylock was 27 years old when she had brain cancer. So that's a great testimonial to read to somebody who is in their 20s, is the Sarah Blaylock testimonial. We all have access to Sarah Blaylock's testimonial. It's on our website. So that's how you tailor the need for young people. So let's go to the next kind of person. Let's go to single parents. Single parents, this probably is one of the easiest ones to build a need for. It's very obvious because they're the breadwinners, but you have to listen to them. Even though they're probably the easiest people, you still have to develop the need with them as you do anybody else. Okay, just know that they're going to have more expenses. If they got sick or hurt and they couldn't work for 6 months to a year, they're going to be devastated, right? They don't have any backup income. They are it. Also, if a single parent gets sick or hurt, they're going to have to pay extra money for childcare, traveling when things don't go well. Okay, if something happens, they will need to find somebody to watch their kid. So they will get hit double time with their loss of income and paying somebody to take care of the kids. And another thing is, being a single parent, our policies will cover them and the kids, which is good because what happens is if something happened to their kid, they're not going to be working either. Like if their kid got into a bad accident or was diagnosed with something, they're going to be missing time from work just to take care of the child. So it hits them double time. That they'll be losing their income, and they won't qualify for disability insurance if their kid is sick. They will only qualify for disability insurance if they're sick, correct? So our policies will cover them regardless of the situation, if them or their kids get sick, okay? And then here's a couple other ways that you can tailor it. So, so you take care of all your bills by yourself, Mrs. Jones, man, you have a lot of responsibility. So let me ask you, if you or your kids got sick and couldn't work for 6 months to a year, how would that affect you financially? Guys, that's critical question 1 right there. Tailored to a single parent. Yes, most single parents I talk to tell me they'll be devastated if they got sick or hurt. That's exactly what this is for. That's why all the other, single parents are signing up for this. So other than using your savings, this is a critical question too. Other than using your savings, do you currently have a backup plan like this right now? It's very assumptive. The way you ask these questions, it's got to be assumptive. Okay. And then also when you get to the buying atmosphere page, you stress, the 3 reasons why it's simple, it's affordable, easy decision, just like everywhere else. You stress how affordable it is for single parents. That's why we have so many clients who have this who are single parents, and that, we want to get them protected. Most single parents spend more money on their basic internet and cable bill than they do on this. It is affordable for you, Mrs. Jones. Okay. So a lot of single parents are living paycheck to paycheck. So you want to kind of knock out the we can't afford it objection before the buying atmosphere. So let's go to families. So family, this is huge because, it starts with the stats page, making sure that, you make them realize, families, 3 out of 4 families will be affected by cancer. That was the number one thing in our PowerPoint, right? 3 out of 4 families will be affected by cancer, helping them realize, it's based off emotion. If something happens to someone they care about, close to them, it'll affect the entire family. But making sure that you're reading claims will help them realize, we have so many claims, testimonials, that if one person gets sick, it takes the other spouse out of work as well. It's like, yeah, you may be the breadwinner, Mr. Jones, but if your wife was diagnosed with cancer, who's going to be the one taking care of your wife? Correct. It's going to be you. So you will be losing your income as well, and you will not be qualifying for disability insurance to help your wife. That's what people think, that the disability insurance will cover everybody. Nope, it just covers that one person who has it, and they have to be sick. Okay, so their kid gets cancer, which is terrible. They don't qualify for disability insurance. It's a super sad situation. Our policies cover, it doesn't matter the situation. Okay, and also with families, they have more expenses. They have more mouths to feed. Their kids may be active in sports. That's a huge need. It's like, hey, if they have 3 or 4 kids, like, hey, man, you guys have a big family. Are any of your kids involved in any extracurricular activities, sports, AT? Like, what do you guys do for fun? You guys like to travel? Or you guys have dirt bikes, 4-wheelers? Boom, accident policy. Huge need there. And then also, you can get some more stories out of families because they have the husband and the wife side of the family that may have been hit hard by cancer or heart disease. So really making sure that you dig in with those cancer and heart disease questions on the front end. Who's the closest person to you and your husband's side of the family who's ever had cancer before? They may be like, oh, nobody in my family's had cancer, but my husband, man, yeah, his mom had cancer, his granddad, so you can kind of get 2 different sides of the family to get stories from and really tailor the demo to that side of the family. Okay. And making sure that you ask them the same critical question. If you and your spouse, if you guys both could not work for 6 months to a year because you guys are going through cancer, how would that affect you and your family's financial situation? That same question I asked earlier, if your spouse was sick, who would be the one taking care of them? Would that be you, most likely? Because cancer doesn't affect just one person, it affects the entire family. Other than using your savings or cashing out your 401k or your Roth IRA, do you have a backup plan like this right now? So showing the big testimonials of families going through the claims, like the McGlone family, Gordon Daniels, those are family cancer and heart disease testimonials that you can use that can really tailor for their specific situation. And then show photos of other families who have bought, and how another good thing is you're going to get a lot of one-legger situations in our business when you're doing B2B, where you're sitting down with somebody and their husband worked somewhere else. And we're all going to get this. It's inevitable at some point. You're going to get, oh, I got to talk to my spouse about this before I make the decision. You're going to get that. I don't care how good of a sales, but you can eliminate those objections by showing photos of other people who have bought for the family when it was just them. Okay, it's like, yeah, Mrs. Jones, she actually works at XYZ company. She bought this for her husband, and her 3 kids. I've actually never met her husband or 3 kids, but she just went and got the family protected because she knows how important this is. And so just kind of showing that in your pictures as well, other people buying it for the whole family. That way, when you get to the buying atmosphere, you can knock out the spouse objection to making sure that they can make their own decision without their spouse, and their spouse will be okay with them making their own decision. Okay. And you just got to know that every family needs cancer insurance. That is a non-negotiable. People just need cancer insurance nowadays. It is non-negotiable. So So here's another need. Why do rich people, why does somebody who has a lot of money need our products? So this is a fun one to cover, because you're going to hear people, yeah, we do really well. We got good savings. We have a huge savings. We, got good inheritance. You're going to meet people like that out there in the field doing B2B, owners of businesses, whatever it is, right? So this is what you say, great, you're going to love this. I protect two kinds of people. One is people that will be devastated if they were, if they were diagnosed with cancer. They would get turned upside down within 6 months. The other kind of people are people like yourself, where you have plenty put aside. You got to where you are because of good decisions. This is just another good decision to protect everything that you work for. This is just another good decision to protect everything that you work for. Why use your own money to protect your assets when you could use ours, especially if you get all your money back? And usually for most people, having a big income means big expenses. So most people who make a big income, they live above their means. Okay? So if they got sick or hurt, they're still going to have a lot of expenses. So, and most rich people, they're not super wealthy. They just live way above their means. So if something happens to them, they're going to be turned upside down pretty quickly. Okay? And they're going to get hurt if they can't work for 6 months to a year. Okay? So also using names of other people who are successful also helps. So, what Mr. Johnson said, he's the owner of XYZ company. He said, man, I've worked so hard for what I've had. The last thing I want to do is to have a health issue come up and I have to deplete a ton of my assets. Lost income is big for any single kind of person. Then also stressing medical bills. Medical bills are huge. Medical bills can wipe out a huge savings in just a few days. So give an example of what another person said about medical bills crushing them. I remember a couple of years ago, I was working in Belmont, North Carolina. And there was a very, very wealthy business owner in downtown Belmont, lived in one of the biggest houses in Belmont. He retired, was diagnosed with cancer, and had to sell his house. And this was a big story. I was doing an enrollment in Belmont, and everybody knew about this guy, one of the most wealthiest people there. Got diagnosed with a devastating cancer, had it for years, had to sell his house just to pay off a lot of the extra bills, all the medical bills coming in. Okay, so that was a great story to relate to other wealthy people in the area. And then ask them, other than use your savings, cashing out your 401k or Roth IRAs, selling all the extra rental properties you have or other assets you attain, do you currently, other than using that, do you currently have a backup plan to take care of all these indirect costs right now? So you can kind of tailor that critical question to making sure that they have a lot of extra stuff already in place before you ask it. That gets really fun when you can ask that question to a really wealthy person. So just being able to knock out all the objections and showing testimonials that pay out a lot of money. So the Debbie McGlone testimony was a great one because it paid them $134,000 and stressing no caps. Guys, we have no caps in our policies. So $134,000 cash money is a lot to anybody. I don't care what financial situation you're in right now. And then really stress before the buying atmosphere how important it is for them to have the coverage now, because there's so many people that we meet that can't buy it because they've already been diagnosed. So we can only get you protected one time, Mr. Jones, and that's when you're healthy. Your health is your wealth. And also really selling Globe Life. Globe Life is, the insurance company for the Dallas Cowboys, the Texas Rangers. So, rich, really wealthy people, they want to do business with other successful companies. Well, we're the insurance company for the #1 sports franchise in the entire world. Globe Life has got, the newest baseball stadium in the entire country built. We're a very successful agency, right? So people want to do business with other successful people. So let's go through a couple other people. Let's go through old people. You're meeting people who are just about to retire or they're retired. Referrals. Why do old people need our products? They're getting close to Medicare, or they may be at Medicare age. Their chances of getting cancer or heart disease or accidents gets higher every single year. The older I get, the more I see my close friends and family go through these situations. I want to protect myself while I still can. And also, if they're about to retire, they're going to be on a fixed income. So their income is set at a certain spot for the rest of their life. So if they get cancer or heart condition, their expenses go way up and beyond their fixed income. It flips their retirement upside down really quickly. That's everybody's worst fear when they retire, is that they get a health issue and it just loses half their savings overnight. So they don't want to go through half their retirement because they don't have another 30 years to build it back up. That is their biggest fear. They don't want to run out of money. They can't afford to have cancer or heart disease and cut into that. That's why they need our products. And also, retired people, they don't want to be burdened on their family. They don't want to have to borrow money from their kids. So when something happens to them, they need help. They can use our money versus their own money. And just making sure that it will make a lot of sense for them, and we'll show them why. So also, you don't ask them. There's one thing you do not ask a retired person. If you couldn't work for 6 months to a year, how would that affect you financially? Don't ask that question because they're like, it doesn't matter because I get paid anyways. So don't ask them critical question one if they're already retired. Just be like, yeah, your income is set, correct? You have a set income? Okay, cool. So it doesn't matter for the next 30 years, however long, you're going to be getting that same income, right? But if you got sick or hurt and your expenses right now, they're right here, so your expenses are down here. But if you got sick or hurt, what would happen to your expenses if you guys were to get diagnosed with cancer? And just raise your hand about it. Yeah, it's going to go up. That's exactly what this is for, right? And showing photos, showing testimonials of other people who are older who have gone through it, or pictures of your other customers. If you don't have a lot of people who are old who have bought the insurance, ask your manager because they do. And they can send you some photos of some of their clients who are over 60 years old, 70 years old, who have also bought insurance. My very first customer, my very first day in the business, he was 85 years old and she was 73. And they're still on the books today. The Ellis family out of good old Fair Bluff, North Carolina. Yep. So I was able to get that testimony from a very old client day one when I was going door to door. It was fun. So, and make sure one last thing with old people, a lot of old people don't qualify. Like, hey, man, most people that I meet that are 70 years old in y'all's age bracket, most people I meet, usually one of the two spouses don't qualify for this. So most people are like, man, thank God I haven't been diagnosed with anything yet, because most of the couples at my age, they've already had pre-existing conditions, so they can't qualify for one of the two policies, or sometimes both policies, the cancer or the heart policy. So making sure that they feel blessed that their health has allowed them to qualify for these policies right now. So I'm wrapping this up, guys. I'm actually going to cover one extra little piece that is why do business owners and self-employed people need our products? So why do business owners, because you're obviously doing B2B market, you're going to talk to the owners of a business or self-employed people all day long. So why do they need our products is because they have really expensive health insurance. If they own a business or they work for a small company, they'd most likely pay for their own health insurance. That's extremely expensive. They usually spend over $1,000 a month on health insurance, and they have a really high deductible. So this will bridge the gap with those, $5,000, $10,000 deductibles. Instead of using all their own cash, they can just use ours. Also, if you're self-employed or you own a business, they pay somebody else to do their job if they're not working. So this is a way that we can custom tailor the presentation to them. You have a lot of assets you can protect. It's amazing how quickly a successful business owner, how their financial situation can get flipped upside down when they go through something like cancer. They got to sell a lot of their assets really quickly. And they get hit twice because they have business owners, they have their personal bills at their house, and they also have their business bills that they have every single month. And sometimes their employees are their family. So the owner gets sick, their other employees are the ones taking care of them if their wife or their child is also part of the business as well. So they get hit double time because they have more employees who are missing time from work. Also, a lot of time, self-employed people, they want to continue working. Some of them are, they've done the business for years. So our policies will pay them. Disability insurance won't pay them unless they're not working. Our policies are paying them if they're working or not, right? So it really doesn't matter if they're working or not. Our policies will still pay. Disability insurance takes a long time to kick in. So making sure that you let them know, disability insurance, you don't get it right away. It takes months usually for it to finally kick in for a lot of people, sometimes even a year. So let's kind of go into conclusion, guys. I just talked a lot and had a lot of nuggets. Hopefully you guys were able to take some good notes. A couple last things. You must know your names of your businesses. Know your clients like the back of your hand. You got to be ultra professional when you walk into business. I don't care if you have 5 customers or 500 customers. Know their names. Know the name of the businesses. It helps you. People want to do business with people that know their clients very well. like they're part of their own family. Okay. And you can tailor the presentation to any kind of person in our business, making sure you're taking photos with every person you sign up, like what Caitlin Roberts taught on Agency Day a few weeks ago, how she crushes it. She can sell a lot of insurance in a short amount of time. She is great with her social media. Have you been using your social media Facebook fan page as well as she has? It helps you sell a lot more premium and tailor the demo to a lot more different kinds of people in less time. Almost every successful business has social media pages for their business. We should too. Okay. So guys, that pretty much wraps it up. So hopefully you guys got some good notes. Are there any comments or takeaways from what was just taught on today?
Hey, Kyle, I'll just say that this information was absolutely awesome. I mean, we talk about playing chess, not checkers. I mean, this is like thinking through what you're saying and not just being a robot saying the exact same thing each time. This is brilliant. This is next level stuff. Thank you for sharing it.
Yeah, Kyle, I just like to really hit home for me is like the tailoring it to the talking to the younger crowd. Like I've had those difficulties before, and I've got a lot of, young people that are clients of mine, but that I think that should be very helpful to all the new guys on here to like tailor this to the young crowd as well, not just older people.
Yes, sir.